Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Archspire, Too Fast to Die, out April 10th as a self-release. The album has 8 tracks, 39 minutes in length, and this is the band's 5th full-length studio album. They are a Canadian technical death metal band. Now when it comes to the genre of technical death metal, there are certain key attributes that I look in a record in order to give me an idea of what the overall album experience is going to be like. I like technical death metal records that are short in length and in the number of tracks. 8 songs, 39 minutes is absolutely perfect. It doesn't allow the record to overburden the listener, and at the very least, it doesn't allow the record to become slightly repetitive, at least towards the tail end of the album experience. The other element that I look at is the ability to bring to the surface the uniquenesses that each and every single song has while minimizing the impact of the commonalities across every single song. This makes for a more fluid, a more dynamic experience. It allows the record to feel a lot fresher, and it also allows the listener to dive much deeper into the experience of the album, therefore get more out of each and every single song. This record has all of it, which allows the album to have an incredible sense of playability. It's a record that has an extended shelf life because of it, and it's definitely an album that is fun to interact with, to listen to engage with. I think this is the perfect combination of elements when it comes to the design, track listing, the order of the songs, and then obviously the individual attributes that each song puts forward. Once you get down to the sound, this is an album that really builds upon what Bleed the Future had delivered. In my opinion, perhaps it takes it a step further, making even a more complete experience. But as far as the sound is concerned, this record offers not necessarily new attributes, but emphasizes attributes that the band had not necessarily emphasized before. The technical aspect of the band is still there. The fast-driven sound, heavy-driven sound, technical-driven sound, it's there. That is the core element of what Archspire has become. So they haven't changed any of that. You're still going to find all of that throughout each and every single song on this record. Where I find that things sounded a little bit more unique to this album is that they leaned a little bit heavier on the more melodic side of the band. When you look at the guitar sound on this album, there's perhaps 2 different roadmaps and definitely 2 avenues and 2 ways in which they execute it. There's the heavier driven, a little bit more dense guitar sound that matching up with a heavy drum sound creates the backbone of the experience of this album. And if there is a sense of commonality throughout every single song, is that not just the guitar sound itself, but the way it interacts with the drums in order to create that driven heaviness that at times just feels like electricity running through your body. And then there's another roadmap, another avenue as far as the guitar sound is concerned, where you're going to find a more melodic, a more crisp, a cleaner, more open sound, either by taking a more traditional approach as far as introducing acoustic guitar elements to the tracks, because that helps strip down the song, or at least moments within the song, and definitely allows for a more open, warmer, melodic experience to dive in. But there's also some melodic death metal elements as far as that melody is concerned, and the experience that comes with it, the vibe that resonates from it, and the atmosphere that it creates. That is also an aspect that I found throughout this record quite a bit, and it allowed the songs to have a sense of individuality while using the same instrument, and at times even the same style and approach, song in and song out. It just felt differently because the impact that it had within the song created a much different and a more unique atmosphere or vibe. Also, the way these 2 sounds or these 2 roadmaps interact with one another is really interesting on this record, because it creates some sort of chaos at times within the songs and within the album, but it's a chaos that feels very controlled, almost like a controlled implosion, if you will. It's there. You could feel you can feel yourself being pulled in different directions, having different experiences, changing the eyesight of the listener from the heavier side of their sound to the more melodic side of their sound. But the way they interact with one another is absolutely seamless. they belong together. It feels like they belong together. In some tracks, there is a separation between the two. One morphs into the other, or one develops into the other, and there are certain tracks where the two coexist simultaneously in order to create a much richer in texture performance. At the end of the day, this guitar style sound and this guitar style approach allows the band to create an overall sound experience that is still incredibly technical, but it's also a little bit easier to digest because there's the right pockets within the songs where the track opens up a little bit more and the listener doesn't feel like you're getting absolutely destroyed with heaviness, with drive, with push, with tempo. So I feel like this is a great way to create an incredible technical sounding album, but not necessarily flexing that muscle in order to just showcase how technical you can go. This album to me was more about creating songs that overall felt complete, felt robust, had a lot to offer, perhaps richer, more texture, and definitely not one-dimensional. This is not a one-dimensional album. This is an album that offers a lot of different ideas, but brings them all together in a very cohesive manner so that the songs make sense and that chaos that exists within them, like I said earlier, feels very controlled. Now, as far as the bass sound is concerned, I enjoy the bass on this album tremendously. I don't think you can have a technical death metal album the same way you cannot have a prog album without the bass playing an important role in the definition of that technicality or in the definition of what prog is. And in this album, you're going to find exactly the same. It's not a jarring element within the record, and it's definitely not a defining element of the album, at least not as much as the drums and guitars, but it's an element that still comes in at the right time, at the right place, in the right amount, in order for you to feel that other side of the technical sound and of the technical death metal experience that is Archspire, that goes a little bit beyond the guitar sound or the drum sound or even the vocals. Now, as far as the drums, they have a new drummer. Spencer, in my opinion, fits in perfectly in this band. He's able to match the intensity of the tracks, the energy of the tracks, and he's able to deliver a very interesting performance. I'm looking forward to seeing them live because these songs have a lot of uniquenesses to them that make this album really stand out in the discography of the band. I felt like they, like I said earlier, it was not being technical for the sake of being technical, was rather creating a more complete experience, and his drumming style fits this approach perfectly. But I'm really interested to see how it's going to be playing some of the older material where things are not as robust and definitely not as mature and well crafted as they are on this record. He has the chops, but it's just out of pure curiosity. I just want to see how that dynamic is going to go. On this album, he's flawless. Then when it comes to the vocals, Ollie is Ollie. I think there's only one of him. He's unreplaceable, if you ask me. Nobody can deliver vocals like he can. On this record was a magnificent performance, top to bottom, incredibly consistent. There are a few surprises vocally here and there, some choir style clean vocals, for example. That is something that surprised me, not in the context of the song, but just from an overall perspective. But Ollie is Ollie, and he delivers one of those performances for the ages. He fits into this style. I think he's the type of vocalist that fits at any style as far as technical death metal is concerned. So many bands would die to have someone like him behind the mic. That is for sure. All in all, for as much as I love Bleed the Future, and I thought that album was epic when it came out, I think it was an album that really stood out, and it propelled Archspire to a whole different plateau as far as popularity, demand, and even in terms of showcasing how good they are and what they do. That album, without a shadow of a doubt, it's one of the best records in their discography. I think this album is superior, because to me this album is better crafted all around. From the design, structure, overall concept, songs, lyrics, how everything comes together, the way the guitars sound on this album, allowing the guitars to be more than just a technical instrument of sound and giving them more of a rich palette to work with, definitely elevates what the overall record has to offer. and therefore makes this, to me, my favorite album by the band. It's definitely one of the easier albums to get into. It's one of the albums that is not as demanding, and that also helps because it increases the record's playability, like I mentioned at the beginning, and that to me is an important aspect of any album. I don't want to feel tired by the time I get to the end. I want to feel like I didn't have enough of it and I'm ready to go back again to the beginning. This album does that to me. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I'm going to start off with Liminal Cypher. This is the opening track. It's the track that has this great opening to it, super warm. It's not just a great opening to the song, it's a great opening to the record. They really created a track that leads you into the album like breadcrumbs, taking you all the way to the trap. This track kind of feels a little bit like that. They kind of trick you into easing yourself into the album. Next thing you know, the track develops into this amazing guitar melody that leads into this ferocious driven track with drums and guitars together. The vocals sound insane. It's a drive. It's a track that has a lot of drive to it. The heavier guitar sound at times breaks a little bit of that drive, and allowing the bass to come in sporadically throughout the song really showcases all of the different sonic attributes from the technical standpoint that this band puts forward. It's a great calling card. It's a track that has all the right pieces to be exactly where it is, which is opening up the record. The solo section is phenomenal. It's a track that has a lot of richness, offers a lot of different ideas, and it allows itself to develop, grow, and just define what Control Chaos is in a single track, because you're going to find this definition to duplicate itself multiple times throughout the entire record. Then you have Anomalous Descent. At times, it feels like you're being electrocuted. That's the best way to describe this song, because the energy that it has, the way the sound drives through, the way the vocals drive the sound, is just something out of this world. Amazing guitar execution throughout. The melodic pieces, the heavier pieces, the more driven pieces, everything about this song really surrounds itself with amazing, rich sounding guitar performance that doesn't have just one idea, one plan of action, or one outcome. It has so many different elements to it. Acoustic guitars, really super technical driven guitars, more open melodic guitar sound. It's just so rich from a guitar playing standpoint that it doesn't surprise you, but it mesmerizes you at every single turn. And this song has this choir style vocals that is very unique to the album and really surprised me, not in the context of the song because it works really well, but in the context of what this overall album is, and even in the context of the band themselves. Last but definitely not least, Deadbolt the Backward. This track is one of those where the drums was the first thing that my ears connected with. The heaviness, the speed, the intensity of the drum sound on this track definitely stood out to me way before the guitars hit me. Not that the guitars are lesser on this song, but the drums create a much quicker emphasis of how impactful they are before the guitars even get there. The vocals have movement to them. The way the sound of the vocals comes through on this track creates movement. They're coming from left to right, right to left. There's an internal movement within the vocal sound that is really important, because not only the song has ebbs and flows, up and down as far as sound experiences are concerned, you also feel like the track is moving laterally because of the way the vocals come in. So it's a track that just moves almost all over the place, and that gives a lot of energy to a song that has great heaviness, a melodic undertone that stays really connected with the song, allowing the heaviness of the guitar sound and the melodic side of the guitar sound to coexist with one another, allowing at times the track to develop almost from a technical standpoint into a progressive standpoint in terms of how the song becomes a little bit more intricate and the amount of quality and texture that it offers all around. Great song, really well put together, a complex track that sounds incredibly simplified. This is it. Archspire with Too Fast to Die, once again out April 10th as a self-release. Hit me up in the comment section, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.